Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. I, of course, am Hammer here with your daily mortgage rate update, the only place on the web where you can get together, talk about what's going on with mortgage rates and pricing. And there is so much to talk about today. We're going to move quick, so make sure you're here, pay attention. We're going to be talking about what happened yesterday, talking Trump tariffs, talking trade wars, talking about jobs, data. So much to talk about today, y'all. So most importantly, we're going to be talking about what effect all of that has on the mortgage market. Remember, as we go into today, this is not an endorsement or a criticism of Trump. It's simply commentary. To be honest, I'm not going to say I don't care how y'all feel about Trump, but I know that there's many different opinions out there, but I do know that you don't care how I feel about Trump. And although I kind of take a couple of different tacks, some people think they know how I feel, but generally they really don't. So anyway, here's the deal. No matter what you believe, no matter what I believe, no matter what you feel, no matter what I feel about all of this that's going on, about Trump himself, about him as president, about the tariffs, none of that really matters because they're here. So it's having a huge effect on markets as we knew it was going to. We talked about that yesterday, and therefore it's having a huge effect on mortgage rates, as you're going to see on your rate sheets today. So anyway, if you're here live, remember, you can join me 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time every weekday, broadcasted to you on Facebook and on YouTube. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget, give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. Whether you're here live or on the replay, remember to go ahead and smash that like button and tag an LO friend. Share this post as many places as you can. I think there's going to be some really relevant stuff to talk about today and pay attention to. So make sure you do that. If you're on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and give us a thumbs up, subscribe so you get notified. Also, if you want to be reminded that I'm going live each morning, it's a lot to keep track of. You got a busy day. You can go ahead and sign up for a free text message, and you can unsubscribe at any time. There's no marketing to this. I may market to it one day, but I never do, right? So anyway, there's no marketing to this. You can sign up to be reminded, though, that I'm going live, hmmr.io/reminder, or use this cool QR code. If you're watching me on the phone, take a screenshot. Take a screenshot, and then you can go to your photos later, and that QR code will still work. I talk about that almost all the time now because I didn't know that, and that's so cool. So anyway, I'm going to try to stay on track today. I got a lot of things on here. We're going to just say a quick shout out to all the live folks here this morning. I normally go through and thank all of you for being on here. There's already 30 of you on here. So if you're here this morning, thank you for being here. And if you're one of the folks that is joining me every day, I appreciate you. I really do. I do this because you do that. So thank you so much. But with that said, we've got so much to cover today. Let's jump right in and get started. Let me get the screens ready. We're going to go deeper into this stuff and show you guys. Let me zoom this in, and that way it will work when I show this. All right. So we're going to go ahead and show what's going on here. Remember, I'm going to go ahead and pop this on here. This is not an endorsement or a criticism. It's simply commentary. All right, so keep that in mind. So yesterday, let's do a quick recap. What happened yesterday? Let me find it here. All right, so yesterday, I expected it to be a calm and quiet day before we got to the actual Trump press conference, which was at 4 p.m. Eastern time at the White House Rose Garden. Instead, what we actually did see, if you take a look here on the screen, this is everything that you're seeing right now is yesterday. This is what happened with mortgage-backed securities yesterday. Now, pricing came out around 10 a.m., generally 10 a.m. Eastern time, so most lenders are generally taking a snapshot, issuing rate sheets, right? Mortgage-backed securities were at 100.12. We're monitoring that 5.5 coupon right now. We started doing that a couple of days ago. It's not hugely important which coupon you're monitoring, but this is the right one now. So anyway, as we look at this coupon, it was around 100.12, and we just saw a really steady decline as the morning went on, dipping all the way into the afternoon. And it caused me to actually send out an alert that we were likely to start seeing lender reprices. Very likely is actually the words that I used, to start seeing lender reprices. The reason that we saw all of this ground in bonds lost ahead of the press conference was that speculation in the markets was that maybe this won't be so bad. This was a huge event. This is like this is like a high school assembly, right? And everyone is in the auditorium and they're whispering to each other. Nobody knows what it's about. It's an emergency assembly. Everybody's whispering. Rumors are flying around. What's going to happen? That's what this was like. And it was actually helping stocks to recover. Traders were thinking maybe this won't be so bad as it really was. So then right around here, you can see at 4 o'clock, we had the press conference, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And bonds immediately lose a lot of ground. They were starting at around 100, right, which was already 20 basis points lower than where we were around 10 a.m., 12 basis points from 10 a.m., but much lower than where we started the day. And they dropped all the way down, that low point, 99.82 right here, 99.82. But then you see there was a huge reaction, The reason we saw this, without going into super detail, is that the first part of Trump's speech kind of confirmed the speculation, and markets believed, hey, this isn't going to be as bad as we thought. So stocks started to rally. That money went from bonds into stocks. Now, for years, we've not seen that true flight to safety that we used to see back in the 90s and 2000s. We used to really see if stocks went up, bonds went down. If stocks went down, bonds went up. Money, it was a simpler market, quite honestly, before the internet really took off to what it is today. And money kind of moved around in that direction. We're seeing kind of a vintage feel to markets right now, where money is going from stocks into bonds, from bonds into stocks. And we're seeing, and it's because of the severity and the amount of money that's moving around right now and where markets are heading and what's going on there. So keeping that in mind on where we were at, that was kind of what happened yesterday. We knew we were going to get a lot of volatility here after that actual press conference started. We were expecting that. Let me just get rid of some things here real quick. All right. However, it was the volatility that we saw before that happened. I can't get to the front of that. Hold on. It was the volatility that happened before that was actually so surprising. So bear with me a minute. I'm going to get this all set up in the right spot here so that I can keep plugging away here today. So bear with me a second as I come on. There we go. Okay. Bring this up right about there. Okay, so taking a look at what we saw yesterday, we saw that happen, and we'll talk about the 10-year as well. So anyway, this morning, as many of you have already guessed, rate sheets today are going to be much better than what we saw yesterday. Surprisingly, using Mortgage News Daily as a reference point, we saw rate sheets get worse yesterday afternoon. And that's why the morning pricing was much better. It was actually better than 6.71. It was matching what I would say was the best pricing we had seen before, up till then, maybe on March 4th was like 6.70. So, but we saw reprices worse and they were pretty heavy. And that's why Mortgage News Daily is reflecting rates that were actually higher because of those reprices worse. So rate sheets to start the day were already at around 6.7. What we're going to see this morning, you're going to see rate sheets as you would be realistically about 1/8 of a point better than what you saw yesterday. So 6 3/4. We're going to see that turn into 6 5/8, or 6.625. You're going to see this turn into, say, 6.62, 6.60. You're going to see that much of a move because we've seen mortgage bonds this morning that are currently up about 30 basis points on the day, the 100.36 level. Now, we're going to want to kind of keep track of that because I'm going to come back and reference that a bit, right? Now, in fact, I've got it on the screen, so let's talk about it. There is still a whole lot of ground that we'd have to make up to get to those September levels. September levels were around 101.60. 101.60. That's about 120 basis points better than where we're at right now. So that's quite a bit of ground to make up. But, when you see that we're up 35 basis points in one day, we could see that continue to happen. So when we look at those September levels, you'll see, I'm going to show you right here, you see September, and that's right about up here. That peak that we saw right before that September Fed meeting, 101.61 was kind of where we ended the day and where that peak was. And right now we are over here, right around 100.34, or actually 100.38 right now is where we're at. Now, this 10-year Treasury yield, this also has to pay attention. And let me show you the 10-year currently at 4.04, was down to 4.02 a minute ago. We were at 4.36 right here last Thursday. So a week ago, we were at 4.36, now down to just above 4. There's a really good shot that we could see this break below 4% today. We could get back into the threes. Now, for reference, in September, the 10-year Treasury yield was around 3.75. Now, the 10-year doesn't say your mortgage rates, but it's a good reference point for understanding where would we have to go to get back to those September lows, which were around 6 1/8, 6 1/4 on conventional, without any loan level price adjustments. Now, as far as risk goes today, reprice risk on the day is moderate today. We could see some more volatility. Right now, bonds are rallying, but traders are panicking. There's a lot of concern. We could see a lot of movement. It's unlikely, but if we do see movement, it's going to happen fast, and lenders will be quick to reprice on this. Lenders are all being very careful. Now, remember something. I don't talk about this a lot, but let's take a look at what's happened recently in the mortgage world. You've got Rocket buying Mr. Cooper and all that servicing. You've got, the Redfin thing going on there. So all of that, when you look at it, the servicing thing is a big deal right now. As servicing portfolios are very profitable right now for lenders, for companies that own these servicing rights. And they are going to be very, very aggressively trying to retain all of those loans. As we see rates drop right now, you have to be double and triple aggressive, reaching out to past clients, database, etc. More. So let me let Millie in. She's just driving me nuts here. Come on, Millie. Come on. Come on, Millie, girl. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Everyone's waiting for you. Come on. Come on. Let's go. There you go. Sorry, I'll be there 1 second. Just let Miss Millie out and letting her back in and letting her get to her food. So anyway, here I am. So as we take a look here, as rates are dropping, you have to be super, super diligent on following through on this. So anyway, keep an eye on that. What about tomorrow's BLS jobs data? Well, right now it's taken a huge backseat. I told you, one of the rare times we've ever seen where BLS jobs data sits in a corner. Nobody ever puts the BLS jobs data in a corner. And this tariff press conference, the tariff rollout, the announcement, whatever you want to call it, has done that. Why has that happened? Well, it's obviously forward thinking, what effect it's going to have on the markets, on the economy moving forward. All right. However, what we want to remember is that the jobs data that we see on Friday, this could go a couple of different ways. I'm not even talking about jobless claims that came out this morning, which they came out, pretty high, right? But we'll come back to that. But the BLS jobs data tomorrow, that's older data. Okay. So all of this outlook and concern because of the tariffs is forward looking, forward facing. So if we get a strong jobs report, or it meets expectation, or it beats expectation, let's say unemployment does not increase, maybe unemployment were to improve, which is unlikely, but possible. If we see the number of jobs created comes in higher than what is expected, I don't think, and this is my opinion and my outlook, I don't think we'll see a very strong reaction, because I think what's going to happen is that markets, traders, they're going to look at that data and say, that's old data. That's what happened back in March. We're looking at what's happening in May, and we think that these tariffs, this trade war, all of this drama, we think this is going to really, really have a huge effect on the economy, which means, therefore, it's going to have a huge effect on the jobs market. So If we see that, I don't think we see a super strong reaction. We may see a knee-jerk reaction, and it will definitely have the possibility of affecting morning rate sheets tomorrow morning. But I don't think that we see any kind of sustained concern over the jobs data. Now, if the jobs data comes in weak, let's say it factors in those government job losses, there's a bunch of other reasons we could see, right? Less jobs created. Maybe companies were more afraid of all the tariff stuff in March, and there were less jobs created. According to the ADP private payroll on Wednesday, there were more jobs created than expected. But again, that's just ADP, and that's for that one report. It doesn't have any effect on the BLS jobs report. If we see less jobs created, if unemployment were to tick up a notch, if anything negative, it's going to add to the concerns that markets have right now. Okay. It's going to have a very, very big snowball effect that it might not have normally had. So right now, my outlook, I currently think that rates are going to move lower. I think it's likely we see some more volatility, but if traders continue to believe the tariffs and the trade war, and I do say trade war now because now it's legit. Now we really do have a trade war. We have basically gone out there and punched 60 countries in the face. And it is a true trade, and it's going to get people rallying against us. We have been out there pounding everybody. And again, read what's down in the fine print, y'all. This is really it's not an endorsement or a criticism of Trump or tariffs. I've got my opinion on how things will play out, even though it's not a strong opinion. I'm kind of open. But anyway, this is about what will happen. Right now, markets believe that this is going to drive us into a recession. You're going to hear a lot more of the R word, the recession word, and that's going to push rates lower over time. Now, normally what happens is, and let me throw this on here, and we're going to throw it on the bottom as well. So, the lock advice right now is to cautiously float anything closing the next 15 days. You have to decide how much volatility do you want to go ahead and be comfortable with when it comes to those loans, right? How much are you comfortable with when we see that volatility? But overall, the expectation is that for those willing to gamble, we're going to see rates continue to move lower next week. I don't have a lot of fear over tomorrow's labor market data, the BLS jobs report, having a big effect for anything more than the near term. All right. And I'm going to get to all your questions and comments, by the way, in a moment, but just wanted to kind of get all this out. So my advice, I would be floating, and based on the current outlook, I would absolutely be floating anything that closes outside of the next couple of weeks. Now let's talk a little bit about things. Tariffs equals inflation, right? All of these additional costs, the argument is they're going to be worked into the cost of goods, which means that we as American consumers are going to pay more for items. That's inflation. What you have to remember is, although Powell took a lot of heat in his press conference for using the word transitory, yet again, he pointed out this is what happened with tariffs back in Trump's first presidency. The idea about tariffs is, if we are now going to pay a lot more for my Waterloo sparkling water here, if the tariffs got put on and they were 50% and I pay all 50% of the tariff goes into the price of this good, that means inflation for that month is going to skyrocket. It's going to be nuts. But the month after that money, let's say it was $1, and then inflation, it goes to $1.50, right? Crazy inflation on month 2. Month 3, how much does it cost? $1.50. So the inflation number drops because how much did it go from month 2 to month 3? There's no inflation there. So your inflation is going to hit hard. We're going to see some really bad inflation numbers for a couple of months as a lot of companies maybe try not to put this into the cost of goods, or they start out lower and then they add to it. But there's a lot of company profit. There's a lot of ways this could go. And we could spend another 20 minutes talking about that. But the bottom line is, markets know that any inflation that comes from the tariffs, unlikely to be continued inflation, unlikely to be something that we have to deal with month after month after month after month. So therefore, yes, it hurts bonds, and we would see that priced in, but it's nowhere near nowhere near as strong of a factor right now as if the economy goes into a recession, if we see the labor market start to tank, if we see all of this uncertainty. The markets hate uncertainty. All of that is good for bonds. Again, looking at where we're at right now, mortgage-backed securities 100.38, the best levels we've seen of the year. The 10-year Treasury yield 4.03 right now, 4.03. We may very well be in the threes by the end of the day. If not, any weakness, any signs of weakness tomorrow during the jobs data will definitely push these into the three. It's kind of like if you have an injury and someone comes over and punches you in that injury, it's going to hurt even more than it normally would have because of the injury. The tariffs, the trade war, that's the initial injury. This is here. Another thing we want to go ahead and talk about. Let's talk about what's going on with the Fed stuff real quick. So expectations of a Fed rate cut in May. They haven't really moved much, but when you take a look in June, there's total expectations that we will see a rate cut, but look by the end of the year. Markets believe that this is going to cause a recession that's going to come the second half of the year, because when you look at where we are, markets, remember, we're at 4.25, one rate cut, 3.5% probability, 2 quarter-point rate cuts, 14% probability. 3 quarter-point rate cuts or 3/4 of a point lower than where we are at today, 30%. Before, just a week ago, if we compare this, a week ago, it was 31% expectation that we'd be at 3.75. 31% expectation would be at 3.75. That has dropped down to 15%. Where has all that extra expectation go? For either 1, 2, 3 rate cuts, or even 4. A week ago, the expectation that we could see a full point lower for the Fed funds rate was about 16%. That has more than, it's doubled, 32%. And that 32% is actually the leader right now. Markets are pricing in more rate cuts. Why would we see more rate cuts? Because the economy would be weakening, labor market softening. That would cause the Fed to have to cut rates. This shows that the markets are not worried about inflation. Remember, the Fed has a dual mandate: price stability, which is inflation, and labor market. What this is telling us is that markets are not afraid of inflation. They're much more afraid that a recession is going to hit and it's going to tank the job market. And that's what the current outlook is. If that outlook continues, if it grows worse, we will see mortgage bonds continue to rally. We will see the 10-year Treasury yield continue to drop. If we start to see pullback in that expectation, then we will see the opposite happen. So hopefully, what did you guys think of today's commentary, by the way? Let me know in the comments. There is so much to unpack. I tried to move as quickly as I could on it. I tried to be succinct, tried to tell the story for you. Please let me know what it was like for you today. Let me know if that did help clarify anything. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my observations on that. And then let's go ahead and get into your comments a little bit. Let's see here. So again, thank all of you that are here live. There were over 60 of you on here this morning. Let's see. Mike Tiba said, with rates so high now, there's a better chance to refi. Doesn't that make servicing value less? In theory, but that's why, Mike, what I was reiterating is they're going to be hyper aggressive at retaining their portfolio. So they're going to be hyper aggressive at retaining their portfolio, which is why you have to be even more aggressive to get out there and get those refis. The market's already been pricing in low servicing values, could really help us now. Lower rates means a lower likelihood of more refis after this one. The servicing actually becomes more valuable and the spread should come back to a more normal amount than we've seen recently. So Randy said, no looking through the rearview mirror for a change. Nope. Ron, I'm saying cautiously float. The market's always overreact. Your concern rates will bounce from the current 4.02 in the short term. I would only cautiously float on the near term, Ron, because loans closing in the next couple of weeks just to take advantage. But the bigger picture, the current outlook, even with an overreaction, this is likely to be a more drawn out reaction. This is not just a one-time thing with the news. We're going to see continued analysis on how this tariffs effect immediately, and then retaliation. Although Treasury Secretary Bennett Bissett rather had said, he basically put it out there to other countries and was like, hey, don't retaliate. Just let this go for a little while. They're going to, right? This is a very, very big deal, and there's a lot of egos involved. And at the end of the day, it's not about money, and it's not about how people are affected. It's about ego. These different countries, the leaders, it's ego. It's Trump's ego. It's Trump's administration's ego. It's other countries' ego. Europe wanting to prove that they're not going to be pushed around. This whole thing could play out so many different ways. And that's why I'm going to go back to the scrolling on the bottom. It's not about how we feel about it. It's about what we're seeing happen and what could happen. Ron pointed out inflation. Look what Walmart just did. They've done this many times historically. They went to their suppliers, told them customers cannot afford higher prices, and they need to renegotiate their purchase price. Yeah, that's going to happen in some situations. The Waterloo analogy was great. Thank you, sir. Bill Stevens, please make a post about originators have to be aggressive about making contact with their database, and you'll share it. I'll see if I get a chance to do that today, Bill. I have so many things on my plate, man, so I appreciate it. Y'all, I'm not hearing much. People are not making comments. Did today's commentary help you? I mean, there's 56 of you that are on. Either that number's fake or it did. So would love to hear some kudos. I only do this for the love. I talked about egos. One of those egos is mine. My ego gets stroked when you guys tell me that you appreciate what I brought to the table today and what I shared with you. So hopefully that is the case. A few other things to remember. When it comes to lock advice, I spent so much time this morning on the lock advice. Let me share my screen. My written lock advice this morning was super in-depth here, and just really went into what was going on this morning. So make sure you read it if you did get it. If you want to get lock advice like this every day, don't worry, it's not always this long because nobody wants to read this whole book. But you can get free lock advice at www.ratelockadvice.com. Also, if you would like to get our text alerts, we have our text alerts, www.ratetextalerts.com. You don't have to spend a lot of money to say posted. We know there's going to be volatility. If you want to be warned about lender reprices and what could come next, and look at this 4.005 on that 10-year. If you want to know which way things are going, what you should be doing, definitely consider signing up for our lock advice, or I'm sorry, our text alerts. They're $7 a month. ratetextalerts.com. Also, we are going to be sending stuff out helping our Originator Success members get loans from past clients. We're going to be sending out our Keep in Touch campaign today, putting this in perspective in front of our past clients. If you want automated content going out, helping you to stay in front of those past clients that I told you servicers are going to be trying to steal away from you, go check out originatorssuccess.com. We focus on helping you to be found, be chosen, and be remembered. And be remembered is the key right now. Be remembered. So I saw all of you go ahead and put all those kind words for me. Thank you, sir and ma'ams. Thank you all. I do appreciate you. And we are good, man. So Ron Siegel messaging your spear. That's funny. Yeah, definitely. I know where you're going with that. So Mike, appreciate you, sir. Love you back. And all of you that said all the kind words, I appreciate all of you. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Get out there, be active, as many touches as you can on your clients. Talk about it. Don't focus on the emotional piece of it. Try to diffuse it, but get those conversations, get those text alerts. The main thing you want to be saying to people is, hey, we see an environment where rates are dipping again. We don't know how long it will last. If I see an opportunity to save you money, you need to be ready to go. Do you want me to take that application now so we can be ready? Boom. That's the kind of thing you want to be doing. So, all right, my friends, I'm going to wrap it up. I will see you guys tomorrow, and we'll see if all this is going to continue. So they're changing all my little overlays and graphics, and they took them all away. What did they do to these things? I don't have my little end of day. Oh, let me try this one. So, all right, my friends, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. That's just a background? Oh. Huh. I liked when I used to sign off. I'll have to figure out how to do that later. Bye.